This is a continued discussion from the previous episode of Nose to Tail, a podcast where we explore the world of aviation lifecycle solutions, insights, and more. Presented by Jet Midwest.
So what is the future? So we talk a little bit about maybe some integration of some of that technology, but what does the next 5 years look like? Are you guys going to continue to expand your reach, maybe to some different areas? It sounds like you're doing kind of any product line that somebody has. You guys are helping manage that. What's next?
I think the idea is to increase our presence in the US. That's a target for us, and with very good talent, I can say. Also, just to support more customers effectively, assertive. But we need to keep just on top of things, because we know that at some stage the transitions are coming. We need to be prepared, and our customers need. They learn and they know that they need to be prepared, because when transitions come, of course, it's going to be a huge amount of it. So we need to be prepared. But being prepared means that we need the correct people. We need perhaps more resource. Doing things better. In shorter periods of time, but we need to improve ourselves. And of course, one of those is the reach, as you said, in the US and Canada, especially I can say the US, because the Latin American market is something that we covered already, but you still want to get I always say to my colleagues, a AAA product for what they are their cost, so I expect that AAA product for my customers.
One of the things that I've experienced in my career is that the technical people that we typically see, they all had their origin story, almost all of them, with an operator.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, for those folks out in the marketplace who are listening and say, man, maybe I'm a technician or maybe I'm in some other field. How do I break into the technical side? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but we struggle to find talent there. I'm guessing you will also struggle. What direction can we give people? Maybe that they can say, hey, I want to move my career here. That's something I'm good with the records. I've got an eye for the detail, very thorough. How does that person break into this marketplace?
I think you need to have the opportunity in the first instance. If you are good at something, at least you need the opportunity to prove yourself. After you prove yourself and you have the opportunity to work like a company of us, you will see which one you want to work actually, so they want like a certain topic. I'm good at airframe, I'm good at the structures, I'm good at engines, but you need to give the people the opportunity to do it. That's very important. Once they are in, then you can start deciding which is their competency to go actually for whatever is on the aircraft or the engines or the landing gear, APU, whatever it is. But I think first is the opportunity, then you'll see what is the best you can do with that opportunity you've been given, and you can just focus on one area, because it's difficult to have like a full 100 guy doing everything on the records, for example, or in the physical. It's not possible. You need to split some teams. That's why sometimes you have teams divided when you are transitioning aircraft or actually trading aircraft, but you need to secure people in different topics, So I think that should be how people should ask perhaps for an opportunity to be a consultant at the end of the day.
It makes me appreciate the two heads of my technical department more because we make them wear all 12 of those hats, and they've been fantastic warriors for our company, moving millions of pieces of paper in their careers for us. So Shane and Tracy, big shout out to you guys. I appreciate everything you guys have done for us, and there's never enough kudos for the people in the back who are really doing all of that work. Now, do you see a lot of people with engineering degrees or anything, or is it just sort of, if you want it, it's there?
Actually, we signed an agreement with my university in Colombia, and there's a guy, a student in practice, the first one from my university. I think he arrived to Amsterdam April 2nd, and he's doing his student practice and internship there in SGI. So we are interested on helping engineers, tell them the story, like the story, and work for us. That's fantastic. But actually, we're doing something about it. Yeah.
That's great. Again, it's hard. It's hard to, how do you build a pathway for those folks? And obviously, you have a very large organization serving people all over the world, and I'm just Jet Midwest, right? I don't know. 50 airplanes and maybe 125 engines at this point, which is quite a bit of metal. You guys certainly have some great opportunities. So if anybody out there is looking for an opportunity, especially if you're in school and you want to try this thing out, maybe they should get a hold of you and reach out to you guys and say, hey, we'd like to be in a program like that.
Yeah. We are people-oriented, I can say that.
That's good.
And that's very important because you are nothing without your team. You need a very strong team and you will have very, very good results. I'm sure about that.
That's fantastic. All right, so we've talked pretty formal so far. I have a couple of questions. The first one is, in this business, there's a lot of great stories that happen. And I love how the aviation teams love to tell their stories about something unique that maybe happened or disastrous that happened or that was really neat. I love to inherit some of those stories from my guys who are maybe a little more cavalier than I am. But I'd love for our listeners to hear a story from you that maybe is super unique, or maybe that was just a really cool moment in your aviation career that you could share with us.
Yeah, I remember that we had this project with redelivery of an aircraft. And actually that project was going to happen in Japan. And the tsunami hit. So they moved the aircraft to China. Yeah. Impression from my side was, okay, I'm going to Japan, very nice, Japan. I'm not saying that China is not nice, but I was expecting different, and when we went to China, we were expecting a project for about 2 months, and I was there 20 kilos less, and 8 months after we took the aircraft, and it was very challenging, especially the language, the MRO, everything. But it opens the window to see and just get the environment of different cultures, how they do things. It was pretty amazing. I remember I took a guy for the maintenance program. I took another guy for engines. I took another guy from landing gear. So we have a lot of expertise around. There were 2 guys. I remember those guys from Hong Kong, and they were versus 8 guys, 2 guys versus 8 guys. So you can tell. So they were kind of sometimes like fighting why we are asking for this, why is this happening. But it was really funny. It was really fun. But it was expected to happen in 2 months. And it was like an 8 months project. Actually, in redeliveries, you know when it's going to start, but you never know when it's going to end. It happens a lot.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the middle of one of those tsunamis right now up at our facility in Kansas City. Lucky enough, I'm here doing the podcast, and I don't have to listen to the operations call until tomorrow. So hopefully things go well. And I don't know the answer to this, and this is a very open question, but are there any challenges that you guys are predicting with, maybe some of the tariff challenges that are going on in the political spectrum today? Is there an impact that you guys potentially see in being able to deliver and at least returns or even some of those transfers? Is this going to be a bottleneck for some of those things, or how is SGI maybe approaching this?
Yes, actually we had a discussion this morning. It's too early because the impact is going to be perhaps in a couple of weeks, but it's something that it's a reality and it's going to be an impact anyway. And we're trying to see how our clients, our customers are managing the situation. But the important thing is that we have like a full worldwide coverage, so we are able perhaps to manage and maneuver around a little bit, but I think it's very early to see how the impact or how deep it goes, but definitely it's going to be an impact and we need to be prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree that we're going to see this thing shake out a little bit more, and hopefully that the marketplace, I think the marketplace is pretty resilient.
Yeah.
We've dealt with some global things before. Certainly early in my career, 9/11 was a huge impact, and really was, even though that was in the U.S., there was a global impact on the number of flights that just weren't flying anymore. Aircraft retirements happened in droves, which was actually not necessarily a terrible thing. The event was terrible, but certainly the results in our industry maybe were necessary. We need maybe shed a bunch of airplanes need to be shed at that point.
Yeah, true. And it happened in COVID as well.
Yes, absolutely.
During COVID, it happened. But actually, from the consultancy side, it was the time where we were busy the most. The most. We were really busy at the time because, of course, all aircraft grounded. We have plenty of people all around the world, and just taking a look and an eye on those aircraft, because it was a need from the owners, from the operators, from different parties.
Yeah.
But it happened during COVID as well. Aviation faces a lot of challenges, But at the end of the day, we cannot live without.
Yeah, no,
That's it.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's great to see the flights back.
Exactly.
It really is.
And increasing.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish the domestic flights were getting cheaper. I don't have the same number of flights and they're more
Yeah,
expensive.
that's true. That's right.
But that's okay. I can get from A to B, and that's pretty important to me. Now, I always ask all of my podcast listeners what their favorite aircraft is and kind of why, and everybody approaches that question differently. So, JP, what's your favorite aircraft?
The 777. Yes, it is. I love it. I love it. And the reason why is because the first time I had access to the aircraft was because I used to work with Latam Car. They operate 777 freighters. I remember once I went from Bogota to Miami with flowers, then from Miami to Amsterdam. Yeah, I was flying in the not in the cockpit but in the crew rest. I remember they had this amazing crew rest for a cargo aircraft.
Yeah.
It was pretty impressive. And then we came back from Amsterdam to Viracopos in Brazil, then to Guayaquil, and then back to Bogota. It took us like around 3 days, yes, but it was a fantastic experience. So I saw the aircraft, really operated. In this case was cargo, so how ground handling was doing, just putting the cargo in the aircraft. It was amazing. And I just love it. I love the aircraft. It's very nice.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, and Jet Midwest has been lucky enough to have gotten into that marketplace with our Malaysian contract back in 2017 was really our first time of really jumping in, and it's been a great 8 years, and I look forward to the next 8 because the 777's not leaving my life anytime soon.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's an amazing airplane. It's a great airplane to be on.
It is.
It really is. Well, is there anything else maybe you want to talk about or elaborate on? We've got a couple minutes left. Is there anything you want these listeners to really see and hear?
No, actually, it's important for them to know that what SGI is, We're a consultancy services company. We are worldwide presence, top of the line, people working with us, very experienced, many different areas of the technical side. So we're happy to support our clients. We have the management team is in Amsterdam, as I said, led by Paolo Lironi, which is our CEO. Excellent leader, he has led the team towards this, and this is what we are aiming for, to establish more the brand here in the Americas. Is basically what we have. And I also remember this is a comment. I also remember that first time I went to Jet Midwest, I went with a 757. And I was discussing yesterday with Karen that I remember getting to Kansas Airport with your facility, and you have a very nice tunnel connecting a hangar with a storage place, I think it is. And it was really impressed because it was like like an impressive architecture of an airport, And I said, these guys with this MRO, with this tunnel, come on, that's too much. I remember that. I was discussing that with her yesterday.
So for all of our listeners out there who don't know, Jet Midwest facility in Kansas City was built by Howard Hughes back in the mid-50s, and it was built 20 years before the airport. So he had to be very forward-thinking.
Yeah,
and there are tunnels that lead all throughout the facility, and I don't know how many total buildings there are, but there's quite a few buildings in there. It's just tunnels everywhere. It's a really neat facility and a great aviation, in my mind, or an aviationally historical building. And we still use it today for exactly what he designed it for back in the 50s, which is pretty amazing that it's lasted that long and it's in that good a shape. You wouldn't know it was that old if you just walked in and walked around. Yeah. So thank you, JP. I really appreciate you joining us today, and I hope all of our listeners learned a lot about SGI and their future here in North America. And we'll see all of you next week. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, Nose to Tail. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Presented by Jet Midwest.